All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alan Carlisle. I'm the CEO and General Manager for Padre Dam Municipal Water District. I just want to thank you for taking time out of your evening to participate with us in this workshop. So, just to give you some background, first of all, I want to let you know that we have some folks, employees on the call with us. We have Mark Nemick, our Director of Engineering, Karen Jasoy, our Chief Financial Officer, Kyle Swanson, our Director of Advanced Water Purification, Melissa Mcchesney, who is our Communications Manager. And then we have two consultants, or our consulting team here from the Center for Organizational Effectiveness. We have Jenna and Summer that are both here with us. Also want to acknowledge our board of directors. We are a public agency and governed by 5 elected members of the public. Director Bill Pommering, Director Suzanne Till, Director Doug Wilson, Director Augie Karras, and Director James Peasley. And those are our governing board. And I believe we have Director Palmering and Director Till on with us this evening. So we'll get started. Again, thank you for your time. The reason that we're asking you to participate in this workshop is because we are embarking on the development of a new strategic business plan for Padre Dam. We're about a year out and we're starting early. We do that because we really take it seriously. We want to know what's happening in our community. We want to know what the regulatory environment looks like, what the industry, how industry changes could impact the operation of your water and wastewater services. And so we dig in and really analyze all of those factors as we put our plans together. We ask our employees, the frontline folks that are experiencing this service every day. We ask our board members, and we ask the public. And this is one of the first opportunities for the public, you, to be part of that. So again, thanks for being here. Next slide. So, just so you know, and I'm sure most are aware, but we do have guiding principles for Padre Dam Municipal Water District. We have a mission, vision, values. Our mission is to provide the highest quality services at the most cost-effective manner. And that's difficult in California. It's difficult in our East County area. But we're committed to that. We have a vision to set the standard for delivering exceptional service. Our values are trust, integrity, competence, service, and accountability. We take them seriously. We go over all of these with every new employee that comes on board with Padre Dam, letting them know that we want to be known for these values. Next slide. So there are overarching goals that we have with our plan. We want to develop a plan that continues Padre Dam's excellence in service to our customers. We want to maintain our full alignment with our mission and values that I just went over. And we want to consider fully the current industry, regulatory, operational challenges that face us over the next 5 years and decade. And then very importantly, and I'm sure many of you are interested in this, is balancing rates with an appropriate level of investment in the system. So our system is the replacement value of the system that we manage is about $1 billion. So it's a very complex system, very expensive system, and the level of maintenance and investment in that system directly equates to rates. And I can tell you, I'm born and raised here in East County. I have been living in Santee for the last 25 years, raised my family here. And, I care deeply about this community. And I listen to my neighbors and friends and others that live in this community and realize, gosh, we we have an obligation to invest in this system so that when we turn it over to the next generation of managers, it's in better condition than when we received it, and that it's solid and ready to deliver services well into the future. Next slide. So we are in the development right now of a business plan and our strategic plan, and these are the plans that we're currently working with. So it's a 5-year plan, started in 18, goes through 2022. The new plan will begin July 1, 2022. And then our strategic plan goes out 10 years. What we're going to be doing is combining both of these into one document so that it's easier for the public, easier for the board to see what we're doing, what our plans are, and what we're up to. So next slide. So funding the plan is a critical component. So we take a look at all of the operational goals, all of the tools and equipment necessary to provide that service. We do quantify those and qualify those, and we identify all of the tasks and assignments and projects and programs that we want to deploy in that plan. So, and then that becomes our budget. So we have projected revenues and expenditures to accomplish that goal. And then what we do is we have a rate study completed that recommends rates and revenues necessary to accomplish those goals. And this is where we do that balance, right, between rates and rate impact and the level of investment in the system. Next slide. So one of the important the foundation of good local government is accountability and transparency. And so we've set in motion and have reporting mechanisms in place. And we plan to continue those and probably expand. Right now we have monthly reporting on our budget versus actual. We have quarterly performance indicators. These are indicators that drill down as far as, for example, number of valves replaced out in the system. We track that. We say we're going to replace X number of valves in the fiscal year, and then we track that and we report that out to the community and the board. So these are very important indicators. They tell us whether or not we're on mission and we're meeting the goals of the plan. We have a semi-annual board financial report and presentation, annual board report and presentation summarizing all of the accomplishments, and the overall spending limit to the 5-year budget. Once we establish the budget, we are committed to staying within that budget and living within what we call a household budget. We don't exceed it. So if costs go up in one area, we've got to cut in another. Next slide. So these are just examples of the report cards that we provide to the board on a regular, consistent basis, letting them know, are we off task, on task, or complete, so they can see in one report how we're doing with the business plan. Next slide. So those were qualitative. These are quantitative. So these you can track these with numbers, and this is where you'll find the number of valves that we replace on an annual basis, the number of linear footage of a sewer line that we camera and inspect on an annual basis. All of those kinds of quantitative indicators that let us know how we're doing. And next slide. So with that background, I want to introduce to you Dr. Summer Girl, and she is going to walk us through some of the workshop components. And before I turn it over to her, again, I just want to thank you, the public, for being a part of this and giving us your impact. Your input. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you think we need to invest in. We want to know your concerns with your water district, and where you think we need to focus. I do want to say one last thing, and that is that we recognize that this is not our water district. This is your water district. We happen to be superintendents and managers of it for a short period of time in history, but it belongs to the community, and so we're responsible to you. We're responsible to listen and incorporate your concerns, your ideas into any plan that we create moving forward. So with that, Summer, I'd like to turn it over to you. Are you ready to go?
Thank you, Alan. I am.
All right.
Well, it's good to see you all. And as the evening carries on, if we have more people participate and join us, we'll be welcoming them in. As Alan said, my role here this evening is to facilitate gaining input from you all. And I'm going to walk you through what the agenda for the evening looks like. And so there'll be an opportunity to participate in a variety of ways, including listening to some presentations on some projects currently going on in the district, as well as some opportunity to participate in some polling, and then some time for us to actually engage in some dialogue towards the end of the session this evening. I wanted to highlight for you, typically these types of community forums, we would be doing this in a room, gathered together, right? Being able to see each other, sitting at tables and engaging in dialogue. And with the last year or so, I think many of us have become accustomed to engaging this way via a virtual platform. And although this is new to the way that Padre Dam has gathered input from the community, this is something that the center team has been doing this last year extensively with lots of governmental agencies so that they continue to really engage the community and get input on projects and next steps. So we had a welcome and introduction from Alan Carlisle, our CEO GM. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview now, and then I'm going to turn it over to Karen Jasoy, our Director of Finance, so that she can give you some context on some core focus areas and services. We then will have Mark from our Director of Engineering and Planning speak about some specific projects. Kyle Swanson will also be talking about resource management. Before I turn it over to Melissa Mcchesney, our Communications Manager, who will walk you through some of the customer service elements. So Karen, I'm going to turn it over to you to walk us through some of the core business focus areas.
Thank you, Summer. So forward. Yeah. So this slide shows what our district's core business focus areas are. And what those are is basically our district's mission that we spoke about earlier that Alan touched on is accomplished through the activities of these core areas that we've identified. Each function is distinctive, but there's significant amount of collaboration, interaction among the different areas. And so then it kind of goes back to like why identify these areas separately. And it really has to do with a couple things. The first is accountability. Alan showed earlier the quantitative and qualitative performance indicators, and that as part of the development of the strategic business plan, we developed those performance indicators for each core area. And then that's basically what each area is planning on accomplishing over the next 5 years. And then we have a champion for each area. And then the champion drives their team towards accomplishing the goals for their area. And then they also are responsible for reporting out on progress towards those goals. That's done quarterly. And then we also ask the champions to explain variances. Sometimes there's really good reasons why you thought you were going to change a certain amount of meters, but a line break came up, and so you had to put staff on that. And so that is just explained at the time we do our reporting out of the progress towards the goals. Next slide. Just a little bit about our water rates, some things that you may or may not know. Basically, our water rates are broken down into 3 different areas. About 36% of our water rates go to purchasing actual water from San Diego County Water Authority. And then about 23% of the rates go to the capital investment in our infrastructure. As Alan mentioned, we have over $1 billion worth of infrastructure. So that's things like reservoirs, pipelines, pump stations, and different things like that. Mark Nemick, our director of engineering, will highlight some of the major projects that we've been working on more recently. And then 41% of the remainder goes to Padre Dam's operations, and that's what it takes to operate and maintain the system. And there's a couple of slides that Mark will touch on some certain areas that engineering works on, and then the operations department as well. There are some unique rate factors to Padre Dam that it's very hard to compare rates among different districts. And so we just wanted to kind of mention a couple of those. The first is all of our water is imported. And so we get the water from the County Water Authority, and that's what the rate is that we pay for that. 36% of your rates go to that. There are other districts that have the benefit of local groundwater or reservoirs. And so, for example, if you have a reservoir and it rains, you get free water. All you got to do is treat it. And we pay for the water, and then we also have to treat it. So that's a huge. It can be up to a $2 to $3 million offset to costs in a year. We are trying to do something about that. So we're currently developing our own local water supply. That's our advanced water purification program, and Kyle will touch on that later. Another thing about our district is we have significant elevation changes within our district. So what that means is that we have to have extra pump stations, pressure reducing stations. So there's a lot of things that we need to build, and they're expensive to run, they're expensive to maintain, but it's to get the water to the high level that it needs to go, or over a mountain. So it needs to go up and then down again. We also have a very large surface area per customer. It's spread out. Our district is spread out. And so what that means is that we have many miles of pipeline if compared to the number of customers that we have. And we have to have reservoirs for different areas. And again, that is not only construction costs, but maintenance of those items. And then the majority of our revenue comes from rates. We get very small amount of property taxes. And in fact, part of the property taxes that we credit back the Eastern Service Area because it was a specially assessed tax. So we gave it right back to the Eastern Service Area. And, we're not like a city where we get revenues from the general fund or something. It's all rates. And just wanted to kind of mention here, in case you don't know, that we do have Santee Lakes recreational preserve, but that is run separately. So your rates don't go to run the park. That's all the rates that they charge for their camping and their day use. And so it's run on its own, not by water or sewer rates. So those are the two main areas I wanted to talk about.
Over to Mark Nemick, our Director of Engineering and Planning.
All right, thanks, Summer. That was a great poll. So good evening to all those who are out there participating in this workshop tonight. My name is Mark Nemick, and I'm the Director of Engineering and Planning here at Padre Dam. I want to start off by saying that modern, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure is important to the communities that we live in. It connects the communities, it drives our economy, and keeps us healthy and safe. The engineering department at Padre Dam provides responsible and technical support to plan, develop, design, and manage construction of our systems and facilities. Next slide. So the engineering department really functions as one cohesive group, but we can break it down into three main subgroups or components. That's the capital improvement group, the development services group, and right-of-way. And each discipline has its own unique responsibilities and requirements. And you can see some of those on the slides there. It spans a wide variety of tasks that we oversee and that we're responsible for. But this gives you a good sense of an overview of the engineering and planning group. Next slide. So let's take a closer look at the Development Services Department. The Development Services Work Group provides the development community and individual customers with a resource to get answers and help process projects through Padre Dam and other jurisdictional agencies. The Development Services Group is often the first point of contact for individuals trying to build within the water district. Our support ranges from simple easement reviews to starting the process for new installation and collecting capacity fees. Our goal is to ensure that every project that is served by Padre Dam complies with district, local, and state regulations and standards and results in a beneficial use to our system wherever possible or whenever possible. Next slide. And when new services and public utilities are installed that will ultimately become part of the Padre Dam assets, they need to be constructed and tested to our standards and local and state health requirements. And that's where our field inspection and our field engineering and inspection staff comes in. They enforce those standards and regulations to ensure that the facilities installed will continue to reliably serve the district and our customers for many years to come. Next slide. So both contractors, anybody excavating, and utility members have a responsibility, dictated by law to delineate underground utilities to prevent excavation-related injury or damages. The inspectors that I just spoke about, they are responsible for delineating the district's facilities in response to dig alert tickets. Padre Dam uses an effective and pretty simple GIS-based application to track the tickets as they come in and also to clear them as we mark out on the ground and locate. This really allows all the inspectors to have all the day's locates at their fingertips and at any given time throughout the day. Next slide, please. In the engineering department, we also oversee our right-of-way and easement interests. Some of the core functions that you'll see there include safeguarding our interest in the acquisition and management of our properties, reviewing and writing legal descriptions for granting of easements, reviewing and drafting of various property lease agreements, including cell sites. If you see in some of our water reservoirs or tanks around sites around the city, you might notice there's antennas on them, and that's from cell providers. And we also, the right-of-way agent also reviews development and CIP projects to ensure any right-of-way needs are adequately addressed. Next slide. So shifting to the next core group within engineering is the Capital Improvement Group, or CIP. They encompass a variety of projects, including projects that implement new infrastructure, projects that replace existing infrastructure, studies that analyze current conditions and identify optimum improvements for future projects, and projects that utilize emerging technologies to assess and monitor the condition of the assets and to forecast remaining service life. Next slide. And ultimately, we're striving to meet the customer's needs. Like Alan mentioned, this is your system, and we're here to meet your needs in the most cost-effective manner. So through the development of the CIP and in conjunction with the 5-year business plan, Padre Dam ensures sufficient financial resources are invested to execute the identified priority projects. And the foundation of the CIP is based really on what we've kind of termed the 3 R's. That's reliability, resiliency, and ratepayer affordability. Next slide. A little bit more about the CIP. Guiding the CIP are a number of documents that integrate with one another, including the master plan and 5-year business plan. And the figure on the right demonstrates that through the analysis performed for the master plan, infrastructure improvement projects are identified. And then the CIP outlines and prioritizes those projects. And then that ultimately provides the information necessary to determine the funding for the capital replacement. So the CIP is revisited on an annual basis to update and reprioritize projects. and lessons learned are incorporated in future project implementation to ensure a smart infrastructure that is both reliable and resilient for our community. Next slide. So in the last couple slides here, I thought it'd be nice to kind of go show some photos of some of the projects that we've completed that ensure the reliability and resiliency of our infrastructure. This current slide is showing a project, which actually happens to be one of the, probably the largest capital improvement project the district's undertaken. It was a approximately $15 million investment for a new reservoir and pump station to provide reliability to our eastern service area. We now have 2 pump stations that can move water into the Blossom Valley area and further east. Next slide. Another project we wrapped up recently is the Mountain View Connector Pipeline. This was approximately 2-mile pipeline that provided a secondary supply line to the Crest and Harbison Canyons areas. It benefits the system by, it loops it, meaning we have different ways to move the water around. Again, there's increased reliability. There were some temporary impacts that we managed during construction. That's where our inspectors come in. That's their job. And ultimately that project was actually completed on time and under budget. Next slide. Some more photos here, of the work in the Mountain View connector pipeline area. You can see there is some excavation going on, and if you're from East County or you've been around East County, you've seen trenches. There's lots of rock, and so contractors, deal with having to remove that rock so then they can install the pipeline in the proper bedding and with the proper surrounding and compaction on top. Again, inspectors out there ensuring that the new infrastructure is installed correctly so that it'll last for years to come. Next slide. We also, as part of our system, we provide wastewater collection services. And so here are some photos just looking at some of the work that's done on the sewer collection system or wastewater collection system. You see the pipeline there being installed, new pipelines. There's a bunch of laterals on the top left coming into what will be a new manhole. And the top right is we look at our systems, and sometimes it's cheaper or more cost effective, I'll say, not to replace the entire facility, in this case, a manhole, and you can go in and rehabilitate it. And there's some cost savings there, and you'll extend the life of that facility as well. Last slide. And lastly, as you guys are aware, or if you may not be aware, we operate a 2 million gallon per day water reclamation facility at the very northern end of the Santee Lakes, the campgrounds there. This is where the recycled water comes from. It's a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day a year facility. And as you can tell from the kind of the photos on the right there, it ages and the infrastructure needs to be replaced. So we have extensive coordination to take certain components of the facility down and make replacements so that we can continue to provide recycled water and Santee Lakes with water on a reliable basis. And that was all my slides, Summer, so I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Mark. So I'm going to now turn it over to Kyle Swanson, who's the director of the East County Advanced Water Purification, and he's going to share with us some insights about resource management. Kyle.
Great, thank you, Summer. Yeah, excited to share with you guys about the resource management. I'm going to start with kind of an introduction to the East County Advanced Water Purification Project. So if you'd advance the slide, Summer. Thank you. Okay, this is kind of just a rendering of the project, and let's move to the next slide, Summer. Maybe just to kind of set some some base information on what happens for our water in the Padre Dam system and the service area. Padre Dam imports 100% of its water that's redistributed out in the distribution system, which is very common in San Diego. Just looking at the graphic on the left-hand side of the slide, we've identified where the 2 main sources of that water is coming from up in the Bay Area around the Sacramento Bay Delta. And that water makes its journey about 600 miles down into San Diego County and then also from the Colorado River system. And that's where we get about 50% of our water coming into San Diego County. The majority of water in the San Diego County is all imported. And just to I guess bring attention to that image there, kind of in the middle, the Colorado River basin. You may be hearing more information about. We've had 2 drier seasons in the state of California, and how is that looking on the near horizon for a potential drought? And you can kind of see that bathtub ring image there of the lower water elevation in that in the picture there. And so just recognizing that we are in San Diego County at the end of the straw. We're at the end of this conveyance system, this complex system that moves water into San Diego County. So next slide, please. Padre Dam and a few other participating agencies really looked at options that we had to kind of accomplish these goals. And that's where the East County Advanced Water Purification Project came in. The project took a look at creating a new local, sustainable, and drought-proof drinking water supply. It looked at eliminating 15 million gallons of wastewater that currently flows right through kind of the Mission Gorge area and out west to the Point Loma treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant, and then into the Pacific Ocean. It looked at reducing the region's dependence on imported water. So those hundreds of miles of conveyance pipes that we were just looking at on the previous slide, how could we keep the water locally here in East County? And then the project looked at providing up to 30% of East County's drinking water demand. Next slide. This project started I guess, growing in scope over the last few years. And at that time, the project originally contemplated looking at just putting water into a groundwater aquifer. And it was, Padre Dam was leading the charge. We've had decades of experience with recycled water. And talking to our neighbors in the communities around us and other governmental agencies, there was this concept of kind of growing this project into a much larger project. So Padre Dam is partnering with the County of San Diego, the City of El Cajon, and Helix Water District to take this project to kind of the next level and really grow this partnership and relationship. There was a joint powers authority that we formed. It's a governmental agency that will be the owner and operator of these facilities in the East County Advanced Water Purification Project. And that JPA, or Joint Powers Authority, was formed in November of 2019. Next slide. So Mark gave kind of an introduction in some of his last pictures to the Ray Stoyer Water Recycling Facility. Now, if you look at this graphic, if you look at the top there, that's that purple kind of call out bubble or tag, Ray Stoyer WRF Water Recycling Facility. Padre Dam, as I mentioned, has had a really rich experience, many decades of operating a recycling facility, providing recycled water for both the Santee Lake system and a Purple Pipe Title 22 recycled water system. Now, currently what happens is wastewater flows through, as I was mentioning, Mission Gorge Road there. So you can kind of see kind of the collection of wastewater flows coming from Santee. That's about 4 million gallons per day that are generated. The County of San Diego has approximately 3 million gallons per day that are flowing from kind of the east side or the right side of that aerial image west. And El Cajon contributes about 7 million gallons per day of wastewater flows that ultimately make their way out to the Point Loma plant and to the Pacific Ocean. So Padre Dam currently takes off about 2 million gallons per day out of that total 14 there. So 12 million gallons continue out west, and Padre Dam takes the 2 million gallons, treats it, and produces recycled water. So the East County Advanced Water Purification Project will look at taking that flow that's available and producing a highly purified product water. Next slide. So looking at how the project will do that, if you take a look at that X there, that's kind of signifying the wastewater flow that's working its way out west to the Pacific Ocean. The project is going to stop that flow. It's going to collect that 14 million gallons per day that we were just talking about that's currently flowing through the East County area and divert that up to a new water recycling facility right next to where that Ray Stoyer water recycling facility is. and a new advanced water purification treatment facility. That treatment facility will produce approximately 11.5 million gallons per day of a highly purified product water, and that'll get pumped through that blue pipeline there. So that'll make its way from the treatment facility on kind of the west or the top side of your image, and pump that or convey that water out east to Lake Jennings Reservoir. So you can kind of see where that tag says 11.5 million gallons per day. This project is a potable reuse project, and it is taking advantage of regulations that allow for surface water augmentation. So that highly purified water will mix with other imported water in that Lake Jennings Reservoir. That reservoir is currently operated and owned by Helix Water District. And once that water makes its way into Lake Jennings, it'll sit in there for a little while and then be pulled out by Helix Water District's RM Levy water treatment plant that sits adjacent to Lake Jennings. Now that treated water coming out of that treatment plant will meet the needs of about 30% of the product or potable water here in East County. So that water will be delivered to Padre Dam's distribution system and to also Helix Water District's distribution system. Next slide. The project's currently in the design phase. We're around the 30% design. It's kind of we've got a long, it's like a marathon, a long run here. And these are the different packages that make up the East County Advanced Water Purification Project. Package 1 is all the treatment facilities. That package has been awarded to the AECOM Lyles team. That's a joint venture. And they're going to be designing and constructing a 16 million gallon new water recycling facility, a new 11.5 million gallons per day advanced treatment facility, and a solids handling facility. Package 2 is that pipeline we talked about. That's about a 10 to 11 mile pipeline. That's going to take that highly purified water from the treatment facility out to Lake Jennings. That package has been awarded to Orion GHD, and that's under the design phase also as well. Package 3 is some improvements to existing wastewater pump stations and a new force main and residuals bypass system. That package has been awarded to the AECOM Lyles team, same as the Package 1 team. That package is also in design, so we're at 30% design for those 3 packages. Package 4 is a new package. It's going to rehabilitate an existing East Mission Gorge force main and the construction and design and construction of a new regional brine line. That package is out for, we're in kind of the proposal phase right now. We're expecting getting proposals from a shortlisted list of firms that are interested here in the next few months. Looking at a schedule, we're into the design currently. We'll get to a point where we would get kind of the final design in 2022, approval by the Joint Powers Authority Board to move forward at a time point in the beginning of 2022. And that would go into the construction phase or phase 2. So we'll be looking for that in about a year, maybe a little less than a year. And that final design and construction phase would take us out through approximately 2024, 2025, when all these different packages come together and the facilities come online for operation in 2025. Next slide. So that's kind of an update on an introduction, maybe for some, to the East County Advanced Water Purification Project. And just also wanted to touch a little bit on, under this resource management and sustainability, some other ideas that we had and that really need input from you, the public, and customers of the Padre Dam system, looking at other areas where we can manage these resources or concepts towards sustainability. So Summer's going to get into kind of another round of polls and questions to get your thoughts, but just to introduce them, maybe to get the kind of creative juices flowing here. These are just some thoughts that we put down just to introduce. So we talked about the East County AWP. That is securing a local drought-proof water supply here in East County. We talked about that project that's moving along, but also looking at integrating technology advancements to continue to conserve water or advance our conservation and water use. Looking at reducing energy consumption across the district, Mark talked about the replacement of aging infrastructure. That's a great component to sustainability, looking at how we continue to do that and the pace that we do that. Expanding green space at district facilities, including electric vehicles in the Padre Dam district fleet, and investing in artificial intelligence to optimize operations. So these are just some concepts and ideas. And with that, that's kind of the end of the resource management and sustainability presentation. I will turn it back over to you, Summer, to get into maybe some of the polls and questions.
Thanks, Kyle. That's a lot of information, complicated information. So thank you for simplifying it. To turn this over to Melissa Mcchesney, the communications manager for Padre Dam. Melissa.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can we go? I'm going to touch on first a few of our communications efforts with our community, and then I'm going to turn it over to Summer for a few polling questions, and then we're going to talk about a few of the customer services that we have out there and our bill format and layout, and talk about a few things there and get your insight and input in those areas as well. So with that, next slide, please. First, I wanted to touch on some really key and open information that's out there. You see our website showing up on the right-hand side. Our website does offer Padre Dam spotlights, which is kind of our key highlights and key information for the district at any given time. This is typically updated on a monthly basis. And if the information continues to be relevant, it stays on there. You see, we do have a mention of COVID-19 because that continues to be a continued relevant matter for the district and for the community as a whole. And so you can oftentimes go here and find what's going on with the district right away in this Padre Dam Spotlights area, and find a wealth of additional information, including careers and board information right on that very center panel of the website. I also wanted to mention a little bit of district information at a glance. We do keep this fact sheet updated, and it's available on our website as well. And it just gives a really good overview of who we are as an agency. And so you see there, we've got 38,000, almost 39,000 connections throughout the district, serving a population, and those are water and sewer connections, as well as recycled water, serving a population of pretty close to about 104,000. And so this is a good document to really provide a key overview of the district, the different infrastructure that we have, and our budget information as well, as a quick, like I said, at a glance, not in that deep detail. Next slide, Summer. Thank you. A few other highlights I wanted to touch on for where you can find information. We do provide an e-newsletter, which some of you may have heard about this program tonight in our e-newsletter because it was a highlight in this recent month's issue. We also do bill inserts for customers who do receive paper bills still. And those bill inserts typically cover information that may be covered in the e-newsletter, because our customers who receive an e-bill don't get those paper bill inserts, although they do come as part of that bill. We also have a customer service phone line and email. We do have numerous different district videos. We are very prevalent presence on social media. So I encourage you, if you don't follow us on there, to join us on one of those platforms, because we do provide weekly information on there. This year we've done virtual tours, although we're excited to get back to doing those tours in person. And we also have a customer water use portal that I'm going to talk a little bit more about for those that may not necessarily know about that, or hopefully you do and can give us some feedback on how that may be working for you. And a communications plan. So you'll see some highlights of Q2 for the different areas of our communications efforts, which cover our advanced water purification, the value of the services we provide, general public outreach, and then also a government relations piece as well. So we want to get your input. You'll see a sample water bill over on the left-hand side and a few highlights. The top part of your bill is the mail-in stub, or if you receive an electronic version of your bill, then obviously, as you know, it's done online. Then second, where you see the number 2 is some general account information. Over in number 3 is our news kind of highlights. This is where, again, some folks may have heard about this particular workshop tonight because we did put that in the news section, as well as most recently we've been giving updates on the status of the district and what's open and what may not necessarily be open yet due to the pandemic. Section 4, I wanted to mention, this is a change that we made a number of years back to really separate the water charges and the sewer charges and break those out for customers to help to provide some more transparency on what you're paying for and what's covered under the water section and what's covered under the sewer section. And then the water use, this area was added a number of years back as well. And it does provide current and previous water use back to a period of 1 year. This information is also available online, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And then we also have a mention of auto pay for those customers who are on auto pay, so that when they know their bill, or when they receive their bill, I apologize, they know not to pay it, that it's going to be paid through a auto pay process. And so for those interested in more information about your bill or to see this in a little bit more detail, you can visit the customer service section of the website and go to the About Your Bill section. We wanted to share a little bit of information on our AquaHawk water use tool that is available on our website. And the one thing that I really like to point out is that this is a really unique thing for the district. Padre Dam implemented an automated meter reading system over 10 years ago. And as part of that, we have implemented this free water use portal for customers that's called AquaHawk. And it's very unique because most other agencies, although a few others are adding it on now, but for the most part, most other agencies, if you want to read your meter, you need to walk out and you need to open up your meter lid and dig through the dirt that may be in there and open the lid and read it, and then go back and don't use water and then come back again. And it can be a little bit of a cumbersome process. So this system allows customers to go online and see their water use down to an hourly basis. So it allows customers to look monthly, per billing cycle, weekly, and then, like I said, down to an hourly basis per day, which really gives some great insight as to when you're using water. And it also gives insight as to whether you may have a leak in your home. And it's allowed the district to really help customers to learn more about their water use and help them to discover that they may have a leak that they never knew about. A lot of cases, folks might have a broken sprinkler that's wasting quite a bit of water, but they water very early in the morning and are not outside to see that. And this system helps to see, again, on that hourly basis, where you might see a big spike in water use over a period of time. And so if you aren't aware or aren't registered to use it, I encourage you to get online. We have over 50% of our customers currently utilizing this system, and you can learn more about it on our website and by clicking from the homepage on My Water Use.
Thanks, Melissa. And I would just love to take a minute to thank you all for participating this evening. It's really an important part to have the community engaged in this process and to hear directly from you about these, some very specific questions and some much broader questions. So thank you for taking time out of your free time to participate in this. I know that the Padre Dam team takes it very seriously to hear from you.